What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday night. Welcome to All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show. This is episode 164. Let me give the disclaimer that we like to give, which is that the All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show is meant to teach and help, but the opinions expressed by us are not that of Smiteworks USA LLC or DM's Guild, except that one of our guests tonight is an employee of Smiteworks, so his stuff can be considered their official opinion. And speaking of which, let me get to all my guests. I'm just going to say hello to people one at a time, so that if you watch this show, you'll know most of the voices, and the ones you don't know will be the guests that are not usually here. So let me say hi to Drake first. He's my co-host, Mr. Drake. Hi, Drake.
What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Great to be here and continue on. Thank you, sir.
Yes, and Fury Fate is not here. We don't know if she will be, so if she shows up, we'll say hello to her. Let's see, guests that are here. Joe Numbers, how are you, sir?
Oh, super.
Joe's very enthused to be with us this evening.
My notes say optional funny chat. That's what I.
Oh,
I
optional
don't know.
funny chat. Okay, good. And Mr. Matakiri, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. Hi, everybody. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Oh yes, happy Father's Day. Father's Day invented in Spokane, Washington in 1910. That's right, you can look that shit up. Mr. Smiteworks employee Dominic Morta, Super Teddy 57. Welcome, and how are you?
I'm just super, just chilling.
You're Super
Enjoyed-
Teddy.
Oh yeah, very super, and
All
cuddly
right.
too.
And last is I saved him for last because he is he is a co-creator of this show and one of the original anchors, if you will, or host, Mr. Leroon, founder of Fantasy Grounds College. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. My favorite candy is Twizzlers. My favorite haircut is the alligator bob, and my favorite saying is "Touche et lele poo," just like your mama. Thank you.
That's how you do it, Joe.
Optional.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. So hopefully you'll get all their voices, and let's go over to the Fantasy Grounds tabletop. This is Unity, of course. There's really no reason to open Classic ever again. It still works. You can still use it. Many people do. But if you are a serious Fantasy Grounds user, you're using Unity. There are many differences, of course. That's the first do and don't. Don't use Fantasy Grounds Classic. Do use Fantasy Grounds Unity. That's me. That's the one I threw out there. Twizzlers are vastly superior to red vines. Okay, well now we're going to get into a fight. We've already started with the audience saying stuff that's just insane. Twizzlers are amazing actually, but I prefer red vines. So now, if you are watching the show and you have a do or a don't, please feel free to share that with us in the chat. Otherwise, I will open it up to my group of people with me here, and we'll see what people would like to impart as what are the don'ts and what are the do's of Fantasy Grounds. Anyone?
Anybody?
Anybody?
Come on, let's open it up.
Oh, I just want to start with know your shit. Like play around with it. Look at it. That'd probably be the best one.
I would say that applies to whether you're DMing or playing. You should know the interface. There's of course a wiki. There's an instruction manual. There's dozens and dozens and even hundreds of videos. So there's no reason that if there's something that you don't understand about Fantasy Grounds, you shouldn't be able to figure out what that is. And as a last resort, if you still can't figure something out, come on over to my Discord and ask us. We've got 2,100 people in there, and we're very friendly. There's the link to my Discord. Also, Fantasy Grounds themselves, in addition to the forums, has their official Discord. And then Leroon, of course, has made about 4 years ago the Fantasy Grounds College, which is strictly a place where you can go and get free classes. You can get DM 101, Combat 101, mapping classes, all kinds of stuff. And so there's no reason.
that would be like number one. There's a fairly steep learning curve when it comes to using Fantasy Grounds if you are not familiar with any VTT at all. So if this is your first step into it, there are so many videos, so many instructions, so many people you can reach out to, and so many different resources. There's no need to go into it blind. So don't.
Yeah.
Do some
As
looking,
an
and you're gonna
add-on
figure
to
shit
that,
out as you go. But try to really do a little bit of research.
I was going to say, as an add-on to that, a tip, if you're going to be a DM, spend some time learning how to use the application without any extensions installed before you go adding in 10, 20, 30, 50, whatever many extensions, and then can't figure out why stuff is broken. Spend some time so you're really comfortable with the interface of the default Fantasy Grounds table. And then when you start adding in extensions, you'll be able to figure out, oh, this is the one that's screwing up. It's messing up this behavior. This doesn't look right. But
Yeah,
know what it looks like without extensions.
that's an excellent point, because there are people. I would say most DMs use some amount of extensions, and I know a person who uses 70 extensions, and if I were DMing, that would probably be me as well. I would probably use every extension available to me, but I would know that if something was wrong, I would be able to figure out how to fix that. But yeah, great point. Start slow. Gwydion says also start small when you're DMing. Don't try to do it all at once. You'll see a lot of people streaming, and they'll have sounds and all this fancy stuff that you don't need if you're just starting out. Don't try to put the cart before the horse, or whatever they say.
I'll add on to that. One thing that I see a lot of coming into Discord and on the forums is, especially buyers want to know, oh, is it worth the shot? Is it something to jump into? I always direct them to the demo. The demo is pretty much what you're going to get with FGU or FGC, whichever one you go with. And on top of it, you don't pay for it. It's completely free. You're using it. You get to play around with it. You get to try different things. They've cut off some of the features, but I mean, you still are able to join games. You're able to do what you need to do, really.
Yeah.
So try that. I mean, especially since it's completely free. It doesn't cost you a thing to play with the demo. Plus, you can jump into games and also get some classes with the college using the demo as well. So
Classes and one-shots are a great way to learn
yep.
as a player with the
Oh,
the
yeah.
college. I know.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how I did it in particular. Was when I first found Fantasy Grounds, I joined a lot of one-shot games, and I just happened to find it right when they were doing one of their it was either FG Days or FG Con. It was right in that time, and so I jumped into like 6 games and just slowly learned how to use the software, and then that was like the day I did that, and then went out and bought everything that next day or whatever. So
I used it as a GM aid when I first got it. I used the demo for like 6 months, so I didn't like actually use the online play during that whole time. I just used it to roll dice, keep track of NPCs, things like
yep,
that.
that's a lot
In
of
real life games.
That's a great thing too to remind people, is that I did that for Princes of the Apocalypse in like 2017. I played at my friend's house. We played kitchen table D&D, but I brought my laptop and I ran all the encounters, and I put their characters in there, and I even did the map. And they were very resistant. They did not want to have anything to do with computers. They only wanted pencil and paper. And by the end of the first session, they were all standing up at the end of the table, hunkered around the second laptop, which has the map on it, and they were going, move my guy over there, and they were all very excited by the end. But you can use Fantasy Grounds just to run your your digital portion of the game, and still have people sitting there with their pencil, paper, dice, and having the books open. And it's a quite viable way to play. And so there's that
my
as well.
experience was slightly different, but it's also kind of leads into another tip. Was that when I first started off with Fantasy Grounds, I had searched around and wanted to try it out. So I got the 1-month subscription, and so I had I don't remember what it was. It was $10 or something. I got a 1-month subscription and ran my players through, and 2 weeks later, my entire group all pitched in and bought me a full license because they all loved it so much. And so I, of course, jumped off the subscription and have run with it ever since. But that's a great way to, you use the demo for free to kind of learn the interface as a player. And then if you really want to demo out all of the GM features, get a 1-month subscription and see how it works for you.
Yeah. A couple of go ahead, Drake.
I tried to pull my tabletop, the high school buddies that we played with for decades into Fantasy Grounds. And I think I failed doing that. I think the good advice is when you first start off at Fantasy Grounds, stick with some of the people online that are actually virtual tabletop people, and trying to pull your tabletop crew all at the same time. It seemed like a root canal, I was like, they didn't want to do it. I'm like forcing them to do this thing, and they didn't want to do it, and it was just hard. And then when I got on and I met people in the college and stuff, everything got easier for me. And now they want to play virtual tabletop more often.
Yeah.
Now that
it's
I
a
learned
rough
it.
transition
But
for people that
it
don't
took
know
me a
anything
while to
about
learn.
VTTs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like yeah, that a great point. Thank you. A couple of chat people have said some things. So I like what Gobi1 Kenobi says. He said I would also try to stick to a set group of extensions. Don't mix providers. I.e., stick with Team Tui and don't use the competitors. That's a very good, probably the most excellent piece of advice we've heard so far today. George Orr wants to know any best practices or tips for managing external assets, maps, tokens, portraits, so they are findable and usable in any campaign.
Ooh, I have one.
Anybody want to speak to that?
Yeah, don't build a campaign and set up a whole bunch of stuff and then decide to reorganize your assets on your computer, because all the links will break and you'll get pissed off, because it happened to me.
That's true.
I went and reorganized folders and I'm like, what? Where's all my images?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all broke now, and I had to relink them all. Yeah, organize stuff before you build a campaign. Definitely.
I responded back in chat to that one, but I keep a separate token and image folder. Like if I want an image, if I need a token, I keep it separate and then import it into a campaign as needed.
Yeah.
I have a set of like building assets that I keep in the regular Fantasy Grounds images folder, and then I have a separate folder with all of the random other stuff that I don't often need, and I do the same thing. I'll import it from there, other than the kind of common assets that I use all the time.
Same. Yep. Exactly.
So oh, go ahead, Dom.
Yeah. Well, I did the Rime of the Frost Maiden module. Don't hate me, please. If there's any issues
I got some words for you.
Oh God. The process that I like to do, especially for a product like that, where it has a lot of images, a lot of great art, things like that. You start developing anything from your images and assets, like everybody's been saying. You want to start where you have everything in place where you wanted to have in place, folders, organization, things like that, and then start with your links. Another thing to kind of add to it as well is that use a development campaign. That is the most important thing. You never want to develop your campaign in the same one that you're actually playing in. Because if you do make changes, you want to make changes to stuff that's saved. You want to keep that pristine. You don't want to mess with it. So you want to export that out from your development campaign and then play with it in the session. So you can make notes, make changes, inside of the from the module, and then maybe even transfer that information into your development campaign if you want, or if you're trying to run that multiple times with different groups, because at least with Rime you have so many different avenues you can follow. And if you're running it for multiple groups, you don't want to have what Group A was doing in your campaign, things like that. So plus it also cuts down on the size on your computer as well. If you're working from the same module, you're not duplicating that information in multiple campaigns as well.
Now I'm gonna maybe ask you to go through that again. I have always just I've made a campaign and then played it, and I'm not. I didn't quite get what you were saying about having two, like have a development one and one you play with. Can you go
So
through that again?
yeah, so basically, whenever I do anything related to any RPG, I create what I call a development campaign. Something where I'm building the story, building the campaign that I want to run, right?
Right.
Now, the one good thing is that for especially for GMs that like to run multiple campaigns, like multiple groups, especially paid DMs that I see kind of advertising on the forums, when you're running through set content that you have set up for that group, you know you make changes to it, there's no going back, there's no undo button, right?
Okay, I get what you're saying now. Yeah, this would be like
Yeah.
for something you're making. Yeah, see, I mainly almost exclusively run pre-made, like like Rhyme of
Oh
the
yeah.
Craftsman. Yeah, so then you would. That's why I was confused. But if you're, yeah, that's a great point. If you're doing a
If you're
homebrew,
doing homebrew,
yeah, you
yeah.
Yeah.
totally want to set up your main campaign, and then if you're going to run somebody through that, copy it over to a play campaign and leave the
Yeah.
development campaign as its own thing, so that, like you say, you might make changes for that group, but you're not going to want to have those changes for your whole thing that you're going to keep using over and over and over. So yeah, keep a like a
Exactly.
what would you say, a main? Well, you called it a development campaign. Yeah, that's great. Okay,
Yeah.
good. I
Right.
understand.
The Wizards of the Coast ones are all locked, so you can't really make changes. But like Call from the Deep, when I ran that, it was wonderful. I'm like, hey, I can make changes to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I really probably shouldn't have,
Well,
but
but
I
then
did.
when you're done with that group, you would revert changes and go back to the original, um, so
The
that for the
chances
for
that
the
I'll
create
run
a
it
new
again
campaign.
is pretty slim, but it's a possibility.
So
It-
Gix, go ahead,
I
Don.
thought the question was coming from more of a, I'm setting up my campaign for my group with, my own content. That's why I went with that route.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
homebrew,
And
definitely.
the reason I asked you to
Definitely.
repeat it was I've never done that, because I'm like, what does it mean, homebrew? What is this homebrew? I don't. I'm
Right.
lazy.
That
I let other
requires
people write that
work.
shit. Yeah. Gixer has said that when he was first as a DM, he was a little overwhelmed, and he wants to know, is there uh, advice for first time DMs for running their first session? And I would say my answer to that would be, go to Fantasy Grounds College and take DM 101 before you do it. I mean, that's not the only step, but that gives you a great amount of. Oh, Layroom just dropped out. He heard me mention FGC and he
He
ran
ran.
away. But that's at least one good thing you can do,
He's back.
over there, and watch videos. And I think a great way to learn how to DM in Fantasy Grounds is to play as a player for a few times.
I'll raise your ante on that. Play one of the solo adventures, like the Night Squire adventure you ran through. Things like that. So you're playing from both sides of the coin. A
Yeah,
lot of solo play will definitely get you comfortable with maybe DMing styles, getting the story in your head. Also playing around mechanics. If you're doing kind of like I would call a session infinity, where there's no, like, not even a session zero. It's kind of like, hey, let's just set up some characters and just do a battle royale between everybody. Just
Yeah,
get people comfortable with the system.
I think making a character is huge. Make 10 characters before you
yeah,
run your
that's
first
great.
mission. Build characters. Just practice on building the characters, and then you learn the system better. Especially if you're not super familiar with 5th edition rules or whatever rule set you're using. Make characters, even a tabletop. If it's your first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, the biggest part of it is to make a character. Get the player's handbook and make a character. That's If you learn how to make a character quickly and efficiently, that's 50% of the game, and that's 50% of Fantasy Grounds. Making a
Right.
character
Don't worry about
accurately.
screwing up too much. I mean, most players are pretty forgiving. Um, my players, when we jumped over to Fantasy Grounds, it was like, all right, we're all going to learn this product together, and it we made lots of mistakes in the beginning, lots of things I wouldn't do now, but that's okay because we were all having fun as we went along. If you have the opportunity to have a experienced Fantasy Grounds user or DM as a player on your table, that's very helpful too. I know I've helped out a few other newer DMs who they would ask me, during the gameplay, how do I do this again, or what was this again? It's not rule specific, but just interface questions that it's helpful to have somebody experienced in the table with you if you can. But if you can't, don't worry about making mistakes. Just
Yeah.
play with it
And
and
mistakes are part of the
get used
fun.
to it.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's not a Friday night playing in Rob's table that I don't start swearing because I fuck something up.
And that's been since December of 18. Everybody, we're still playing Dungeons of the Mad Mage for 3 years, and we always have fun. And there is all user error. I mean, it's gonna happen, and you go with it. And I mean that's the reason I even did the coding packages in the first place, was we were playing without them in like 2016, and we would stop and code a spell, and then somebody said to me, "Hey Rob, you should just do them all," and I laughed and said, "Yeah, right." And then they go, "No, really?" And then I did, and now look at me. So there you go. Moscow
I also
Pause.
got a.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I
Speaking
love
of
you,
user-
man.
Sorry. Speaking of user error, another don't put your Fantasy Grounds folder in like a Google Drive or a Dropbox.
Ooh, no.
And
that'll
use it from there.
fuck up
Yeah,
your
no,
data.
no,
That
don't.
will
no.
that will ruin your life if you do that. So yeah, that's
You
a
can
great
make
don't.
copies on another location periodically, to make a backup, but don't leave it in a Google Drive or a Dropbox or that sort of thing.
Well, I'll add to that. You can also just basically symbiotic link it too, if you wanted to where then it just doesn't mess anything up. But that's I would say expert level computing. If you don't feel comfortable diving into the command prompt, it's not worth doing.
What? I
But-
don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, what you can do, yeah, exactly. So
Is
what
that
you
like
can do,
Dax from Deep Space Nine symbiotic? what do you think?
no, what it basically means is that I can put my Fantasy Ground stuff in one location, right? And then I can set up basically almost like a detour folder that would lead it right to it. But Fantasy Ground still sees it as like it's actually there in that folder. So you can tinker around with things. Like I said, that's like if you don't feel comfortable in the command prompt, ain't worth doing it.
Attention, advanced user, everybody.
I'm sorry.
Warning.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Moskin Foz has 2 great points. His latter point was RTFM, which for those that don't know is read the fucking manual. If you ever don't know something, that's a great way to figure it out. But his first point was do keep your extensions updated, which is why I have this screen here. So if you have extensions that were from the Fantasy Grounds forum, unfortunately, you'll have to just go to the forum to each individual extension and see has there been an update. But if you have any Team Tui stuff, things that you bought on DM's Guild, that's really easy. You just come to your DM's Guild account, click on My Library, and then sort by the last field, which is updated. And you can reverse date. So like, for example, I updated Monsters of the Guild today. It's not an extension, but if you own Monsters of the Guild, you should go get it and re-download it because I updated it today. But you can go down here through the last things that have been updated and look for extensions that you use. And a best practice, a big do, is to do this right before your weekly game, or maybe the day before, or even a few hours before, whenever you play. Just go and see. Like if you are a weekly player and you play every Friday like we do, you can go and just look at the last 7 days. Hey, has there been anything that's been updated in the last 7 days? Oh, the weather generator was just updated. Let me download that. So that's a best practice so that you can keep up with your extensions, because you absolutely want to, these things are tweaked and updated and have functions added to them. I'm literally updating something every day or every other day. That's just what happens.
It's my fault,
and
Rob.
making sure you
Sorry.
don't have duplicate of the same.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
extension
you
or
always
mod.
want to, if there's a name change, you need to pay particular attention to that, because if I go to my extensions folder here, you definitely want to make sure you don't have some, like a good example is Mad Nomad recently did a name change convention on his stuff. So some of his stuff still says Mad Nomad, others of it say MNM, and he has reasons for that. And he actually did a README file that goes with that now. So if you open up the README file, it says, hey, I did some name changes. And he even says, please make sure you have the MNM and delete the Mad Nomads one because that's the old one. Now, he hasn't done them all, but he's working through it. But that's a great example. Yeah, if you have, this is true for extensions or modules, or probably any file that Fantasy Grounds uses. It will default to the oldest one. So if you have an extension that does something, and then you download a copy of it with a different name, it's going to still use the older one, and you'll be like, hey, this shit doesn't work. What's going on? So you need to pay particular attention to not having duplicate files in your folders.
Hey, Rob, will you show everybody how to get to those files easily?
Yes. If you on the Fantasy Grounds desktop, it's similar for Classic. I'll show Unity. Up here in the upper left, you have the hamburger sign opens the what is that called? This is the console. Thank you. This will show you various stuff, and if you ever get errors, you'll see this pop up automatically. But this file
And
folder
if you're asking
here,
for help, click that compile logs and give it.
Yeah,
I'm in the top left of the console.
oh right.
Yeah, so if you ever come to support and you're like, hey, something's broken, or you go to the forums and ask Moon Wizard his glorious knowledge on what's going on, why can't I get LOS? He's going to tell you to compile logs, and what it does is it basically creates a zip file of everything you've done on that computer. Okay, remember that, on that computer related to Fantasy Grounds. Now, if you're having a player who can't connect, the player and the GM both have to hit compile logs, and then you just send that file to us through the support channel. Also, just make sure, I was actually told by support channel, kind of relay this as well. Whenever you're contacting them, make sure to provide as much information that you can. OS, since we also deal with Mac, Windows, and Linux. Also, make sure that you're telling us it's Unity or Classic. As well, also make sure you kind of link back to the thread where Moon, or maybe even I forget his handle, but Steven, our networking guy, if they ask for files, make sure you link back to that thread. We want to make sure when we receive files, it's legitimate in a way. So, because I don't want to see your beach pics from July of 2000. That don't help.
I thought I deleted those. All right. So the answer to Drake's question is right next to that hamburger menu is the file folder icon, which if you click on it will take you to Fantasy Grounds folder itself. So within that folder, you of course have campaigns, extensions, modules, and everything else. So that's a quick way to get to that.
Hey Rob.
Yeah.
Hey Rob, stay there for a second. I also want to say something as well. Since we're here, if you say you're going on to the test server, right, or the development server, and trying something new, but then you're sitting there saying, "Hey, where's my extensions?" If you go to the channels directory, it will actually have a folder for each version. What we call channel. So test has its own setup of campaign extension tool sets.
So there you go. Channels.
You want to copy that. Yeah, you want to copy that over. Make sure everything kind of works well with your extensions. If it doesn't, I'm sure the developers would be, very happy to find out that something's not working on test before it goes live.
Cool. Excellent.
And I highly recommend that you shortcut that file to your desktop.
So here's what I do.
Because you're going to access it all the time.
So here's what I do. On my quick bar over here in Windows, I have Fantasy Grounds, that is Classic, Campaigns and Modules Classic, and then I have Fantasy Grounds Unity, Campaigns, Extensions and Modules. The reason I don't have an extensions for Fantasy Grounds Classic is I better not be going to that ever. And then all my other stuff. But that's how I do it. So I'm constantly clicking on these, especially when I'm developing and updating and making changes to DM's Guild and all that kind of stuff. But you guys can do it whatever way you're the most comfortable with. Okay, I didn't want to get behind in chat. Gwydion, by the way, thank you for the resub, Gwydion. I think I got behind here. Gobi-Wan Kenobi says he has players that build his character in D&D Beyond and then transfer them to FCU. I think he means FGU. So that's another thing you can do. I wouldn't say that's a best practice. That's just something you can do. I myself wouldn't do that specifically. I would never do that. I do it the reverse way. I build it in FGC first or an FGU first and then transfer it. John CC reminds me when I was talking about updating your files, there is an updated only tab. He was saying you could just click that. I have found personally in the last 5 years that to be absolutely unreliable, which is why I don't teach that method. Theoretically, you can click on updated only and it will just show you the things that have been updated for some recent amount of time. Again, I don't recommend that, but it is something you can do. If you're comfortable with that, you can do that as well.
The updated only tab shows items that have been updated that you have not downloaded yet. So if there's something that was updated and you have not downloaded the update, it'll show up there. So that's why you're going to have long lists if you don't. Like, I don't use this, so I don't download it. I don't use this, so I don't download it.
294.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I keep
Also-
updated and I delete them, so that's handy for me.
If you have, like in the example you're showing there, some of these titles will have multiple files. You can download only a single file from there, and it will no longer show up on updated.
Got
So,
it.
for example, when I am, we publish the extensions and update, I don't need to download my own extension again. So I click on the README and click download, and then it downloads that 1K text file, and then it goes away from my updated
Gotcha.
view.
P.S. DM's Guild, where in the hell does it explain what you just said anywhere? I never knew that.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
it just,
how did you figure
just
that
gotta know
out?
it.
Did you just trial and error?
Trial and error.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's insanely
Playing
bad.
around with it.
Wow.
DM's Guild, I mean, it's, as much as important as it is to me, some of they're just whack.
And you
on
know
some
how I
stuff.
figured it out? Manicure told me.
Nah.
Well, there you go, everybody. So that's a secret tip nobody knew until now. If you click on updated only, it's only going to show you stuff you haven't downloaded at least one file from, which for me is everything. I mean, not everything, but 294 entries, because
Yeah.
I don't usually download from DM's Guild. I usually upload. I'm the guy putting it there, not taking it away. And why would I need to download it? It's already on my hard drive, right? So that doesn't work for me. Let's see. Who else said some stuff? Is there anything I can do to improve performance for large maps?
I responded to that one. I don't think that there is much that you really can do.
Yeah.
I've contemplated a couple of different things. I run into that same issue on the Mage campaign we play. I've got a decent system. It may be connectivity things. Maybe it's the web-based system that they switched to. There's so many different factors there. I don't have a good answer to that one. I just know that FGU has continued to get better with each update as they've continued to develop the program.
I find that the weaker player connections drag down those connections to the maps. So having players that aren't on Wi-Fi and down the hallway and are 3 megabyte download speeds, helps. But
yeah,
sometimes
that was
that's
going to be my smart ass answer was get gig internet and a brand new computer, then you won't have a problem. But yeah.
And all your players too. All your players.
Yeah, everybody.
A lot of it's bandwidth. So if you can avoid wireless, that helps a lot. Also, not trying to use your wife's school computer from 10 years ago. You want to use a little bit more modern system, and you want to use a network that has a little balls behind it. Because even with my network, I have really good internet. But when my old lady is watching movies online, and then my kids are using their Xbox, and all these things are going on, it steals and robs from my bandwidth pool. So I don't have as much oomph to send up to my players. So that causes issues. And then if they have bad internet or low internet or whatever you want to call it, it creates that situation more so than the computer part, because you can have the biggest, baddest computer around. If you have crappy internet, that's not going to fix anything.
Yep.
So that's what it boils down to.
Let me paraphrase what he said, just so that I think if I understand. For better performance, do not have a family. I think that's what he said.
That's so fitting on Father's Day, isn't it?
And
on Father's Day, there you go.
I
think line of sight hangs that. Yeah, line of sight hangs up too a little.
Reduce the number of points in your line of sight. Having 5,000 to make this perfect, beautiful curve is going to be a huge resource drain.
Oh, but it looks so good. It looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
John,
for some content.
Really? So even your wall, like the number of points on your walls, makes a difference on.
Yep.
Okay, good to know.
John ECC says a do is regularly check the forums City Hall. which I'm showing here. You go to the Fantasy Grounds forum. City Hall is the first one to get updates on rule sets and everything else that they're doing. That is.
So Rob, how do you subscribe?
How do you subscribe? You go to any thread that you want, and then there is on the right hand side thread tools, and you subscribe like that.
That's right. You'll get emailed, and then you'll be one of the first people to know, because a lot of people come there on their own without knowing, or they subscribe and it goes to your junk mail.
Yeah.
And you can do that for extension threads too. That you, if you use an extension, you can subscribe to their thread so you know when they post updates.
Yes,
right.
that's
and if you're looking for games too, you can subscribe to the whole frickin' LFG thing and subscribe to the whole thing. And if when someone posts a new game, it's going to email you.
Anything that you see.
And I find the best search tool for the Fantasy Grounds forums is Google.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything that you see that's started by D. Davison, you don't need to worry about it. That's a little joke. That's a little joke, everybody. He's the guy that made the whole thing. All right.
You'll see my post in the City Hall from time to time.
I love making tokens and continually put them in my personal data token bag. Oh yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that would slow down your
yes.
Well, because the thing is, FGU basically loads all token assets into your session. So any module you've purchased, any any personal tokens will load everything. So
that I just want to clarify that is the reason it takes so long to get into the session to begin with. But once you're in the game, it doesn't have a dramatic impact.
No,
it
it's
doesn't.
The loading of it, right?
But
that's scanning files.
But that goes back to my original development campaign. If you're going to use those tokens, might as well make a token module.
Yep.
And then now you don't have to load them twice, or you only load them once, and you pull it out of that campaign. You know, that kind of thing.
And that's why you don't allow token sharing, because if you're not using them, it's still loaded. So if you shared a load of tokens with your players, they would still be eating up that bandwidth and memory, even if they're not utilizing the token. So that's why they turn that feature off. Yeah, but I mean, that's why they turn it off in Classic, because it was causing memory issues.
Oh.
So we've ran out of very good. By the way, audience, members of the Twitch chat, thank you so much for your input. I think I got to everybody. If you guys have more to say, you can keep typing. But now that's we can get to some of the ones that we wanted to talk about. And one that's a big for me that I always try to remind people is, and people might argue with you on this, but I have found in the last 5 years that if you're leveling a character, the absolute best way to do it, and for me the only way to do it, is to not go to any outside, don't go to your classes, races, and drag it in. Open your character sheet, and if you're a barbarian going to go from 5th level to 6th level, just grab the little shield, drag it down right here to the middle, and drop it. That is the best way. Oh, of course it won't work because the module isn't open, so let me open it. Now that it's open, that is the best way.
Another tip right there.
To do it. And the reason for that is I didn't actually know until I clicked on that was SRD. Had I tried to level this up, I probably would have gone to Player's Handbook and drug in the Barbarian from there. Now I've cross-breeded sources, and it'll just jack your whole thing. So for me, the best practice when leveling, unless you're going to multi-class, obviously you just start a new class there, but if you're leveling from 6 to 7, just grab the thing, drag it, drop it. That easy. And don't open any of your books to do it. No. What else does anybody have?
Gotta be some gameplay stuff.
I have a pet peeve on the inventory tab.
Okay.
On the character sheet. Just throw like 2 items on there, Rob.
Now keep in mind, everybody, that I do have, you might see some weird stuff because I do have some extensions loaded here. So if you see something that you're not familiar with, that's just because I have some extensions loaded.
That's the attunement extension when it's no longer needed.
Items?
Yes. Items. Thank you, Drake. Items. Thank you. Where the hell?
Right above.
If you alphabetized it would be better, but just saying.
Okay.
See the location there?
Yes.
Fill that out. Just fill that out. That's.
And how do you fill it
I
out?
mean,
you click on it with your mouse. Thank you, Labor. And you click on it with your mouse and you type whatever, it could say backpack, it could say belt, it could say, like I put holding, you could say wearing, whatever, and then it'll categorize. Like, let's do this.
Grab a kit or whatever.
Let me get a backpack, right? And
That's
then
an
I'm
empty
gonna
one.
put these two things in the backpack. BACK, right?
Yep.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna change the name to backpack without empty on it.
And you need to have it spelled the same way as
Right.
the name of the container. Otherwise, it used to be where it would drop the items if you were going to switch the carry status.
Now see how it pre-populated for me, so I'm just gonna hit tab. Now
Yeah, don't hit enter. Hit tab.
Yeah, don't
not
hit
enter.
No, don't hit it. Okay, so if you hit enter, that happens. You get a brand new.
Yeah, you don't have to confirm. You don't have to confirm. You just tab.
So you see that it put these in this, and so there's a little bit of an indentation here. So if we went and did, if I had some like bag of holding, and then I had, here, let me do a bag. Well, I have okay, bag D, and then I'm gonna put in that bag, I'm gonna put a badge and an artifact. Whoops, hello. So now in this bag, I'm gonna leave it bag D, right?
Yep.
You're putting the bag in itself.
Yeah. Put the bag in the backpack, and then put the stuff in the back bag.
Okay, I'll do that.
There you go. Now just click somewhere. There you go.
Put the bag in the backpack.
In the backpack.
So
That's
then it'll be all nuts.
Be all nested in there.
So you'll see that the backpack now contains the amulet, a bag, and a bag D, and the bag D contains artifact and badge. There you go. So
and one of the reasons that I as a DM want players to fill that out is if I go grab an item that's not identified and I drop it in your backpack and you don't have anything filled out, the item's going to say trunk or whatever. It's not going to be identified, and then I have to search for it to identify it. It's a pain in the buttocks.
And you guys realize that, like, people that don't DM, the DM sees the thing not as it's supposed to be. Like it's odd how it works, and the name gets mixed up a little bit on non-identified items.
McClancy, thank you so much for
an ID name.
Cheerbits, 500 Cheerbits, Bitboss Cheerbits. Yeah, and the good thing about categorizing stuff is if you play with encumbrance, which I absolutely hate and wish would go away altogether, but if you play with that, and many people do, let's say I drop my backpack, right? Well, it takes away everything in the backpack, so now I'm not carrying any weight. And then if I put it back, right, so you don't have to go, oh, I got to drop this and this and this and this, like that.
But if you don't spell backpack correctly, like a lowercase b, it's not going to do that.
Right. It has to all be exactly spelled the same.
At least it used to be that way.
You should see the indentation.
Yep. All right. What else has somebody got? In case you came late, everybody, at the end of the show, Dom's going to show us a secret thing that's not even in Fantasy Grounds yet, so don't leave. Plus, I'm going to give away a prize.
What's our prize?
Let's give away a prize right now. Let's do it.
Yeah. Why he's doing that? Whoever brought that up, why is it I mean, I know it's a pet peeve, so maybe there isn't a real reason, but why?
Why is it a pet? Why is it a pet peeve?
No. Or? What impact does that have on your game?
What? Like slowing things down, trying to identify an item that you can't find in someone's inventory?
So item location is primarily the issue there.
Yeah, trying to find. Now I've changed the way I do it because I have an extension now that will ID things in the party sheet. So now I just drop those items in the party sheet and hit ID, and then I let the player deal with it. I'm like, there it is. It's in the party sheet. You can put it on your character sheet however you want. But if you don't have that extension and you don't use that practice, if that unidentified item gets dropped in the inventory, it gets lost and you're trying to find it. And then there it is. Finally, it's fancy sword and not a longsword +1. And you click it and ID it, and it changes it to a longsword +1. But it just slowed things down dramatically when I have nothing is inventoried.
I would agree that the other part that I run into as a DM is that my players lose shit. So like if they get a backpack stolen, what was in that backpack? And that's that player's responsibility.
Yeah, that's right.
Madman 812, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Okay, here we go, everybody. I'm going to give away a prize. So, if you want to enter the prize drawing, type in the chat ! free thing, all one word. You must be spelled correct, so check your entry. What this will be is whoever wins can, after the show tonight, go to the DM's Guild, type in Rob Tui, and look for anything on that list that they would like to have. No packages, please. And I will give it to you for free. And that's how you do it. So enter away.
And am I eligible?
Yes, you're absolutely eligible.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, in terms of do's and don'ts, did you want to go over Diablo Bob's action tab organization?
I would love to do that. So
can we? Do you want his character? Can I export
it? Well, I can't get his character.
You should have it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Diablo Bob's a mess. He's a mess. This is also personal.
You should be able to import it because you controlled it.
Can I?
You should be able to import it. Yeah, because you took ownership of it, so it should be in your cache.
All right, let's look. Yep. Import character.
Just look for Beal.
Beal.
My name is Beal. Nope, it's not there.
No? Ah, damn it.
The hell are all these people? Anyway, this is very much a personal choice or a personal taste. But like here, well, I mean, this could get into a few minutes, which I don't mind. I mean, I don't care how long. If the show goes 3 hours, I'm gonna fuck. It's all about you guys. Here, let me see who win the prize first. The winner is McClancy.
It doesn't count. Redraw.
Yeah, McClancy. Well, he counts, but I'll draw another winner because he's a huge supporter and can probably just have anything he wants anyway. So Mark, just let me know what you want, but I am going to draw another name. Mark, just let me know what you want. And another winner is Thelgor. All right, so Thelgor, you have been following since August of 20. Thank you. You know what to do.
Is that an L or an I? The Igor or Thelgor?
Oh, it could be the Igor. I've been calling him Thelgor for a year, so.
Yeah, you also call him McClancy. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'll never go away. That's always. By the way, everybody.
It's not McClancy.
Well, so McClancy 10,006, his name is Mark Clancy, and he calls himself Mark, like, you know. Ha ha! Joe Numbers, ha ha ha! Thelgor, I was right. Nice. So Thelgor, go to Discord and then send me a personal message and let me know your DM's Guild email and which item you would like. All right, so what Maticuri's talking about?
You have 10 minutes.
10 minutes, nothing. We're going to go 4 hours.
No, I said he's got 10 minutes.
Oh,
to
yeah,
get
you
the
got 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Kidding.
So you have, what is this? Oh, okay, so he's a barbarian. So let's just go to the coding packages here, and let me load up a sheet the way I would have it. Action. Okay, why is it? I don't know why it's giving me errors. I don't want to even know.
You know those updates buttons that you don't use on a DM skill. That's probably why.
Okay, so let me. So what I would do, everything that you drag on there is going to go into spells, right? Even if it's not a spell. What I do is I say, okay, these are going to be my actions. So I take the word action, and I replace, right? I just go like that, go like that, go like that, go like that. I'm just copying and pasting, and then I clean those up. What I personally do is I remove. It's sort of redundant. They're all actions, so I remove the word action, because they're all going to be under this heading of actions, right?
Right.
And then I might also do, let's put the potions on, because especially, hold on, potion, because we especially play where we have people in the chat can buy, there's a lot of potions, everybody. Here we go. This is the ones I want. So I'm just going to drag it on there. And see, I actually drug it in Barbarian, but that's all right. I can just change it to Potion. and then it'll recategorize it when I click out of it. So there it is out down here. And now I can put healing potion. I've got greater, healing, superior, and supreme. And then I myself, I just so it looks nice, I close all these, right? And then I'm now going to get rid of the word potion because it's in that category. It's in the potion category. So this is a way, and then you just go do this, and your spells automatically sort of do that for spells. They go in the level or the cantrip. But if you have items, like here, I'll put some items. Whoops, it's item. Let's just say that. Oh, yeah, I gotta go back out here. Let's just say that. Let's just say my guy had an acid spray gun. Now, see, I put it. I drug it. You gotta be careful. I drug it over and dropped it in potion, so it's gonna say it's a potion, but I'm just gonna put item, right? And then I'm gonna click out of it, and it'll recategorize it. So there that is. And then I'm gonna clean up the word item there. So let's say so this is how I would do it. Now, many people the reason so Diablo Bob's doing a family thing. He wasn't playing last night. I was playing his character, and I opened his character, and it said cures, and it had healing potions and spells in it, and that's just how his mind works. So that's what he wanted. And the next one said actions, and then there was a bunch of shit in there that I didn't even know what the hell it was, and he had just recategorized everything to the way he likes it, which is completely valid. But then when I go to play his character, it's not the way I teach people to set it up, so I didn't know what the hell was going on, and all I did was just hit shit with a sword all night. But that's a great way. And then here, let me actually put spells in there. Let me just put some spells.
All first level spells. Just do the whole list. Yeah.
Rob, the generic actions are from which module? Spells or
that
generic action is an extension.
Class.
No,
class.
The generic. Oh
no, the
ones up on top, or the generic actions section on the bottom.
Yeah, the dodge, help, hide.
Those are from your class. Those are from class. They're from class features.
Getting to a question in chat. That's all.
This thing down here, if this is what you're asking down here, the generic actions, that is an extension that is one of there's about 3 or 4 that I use that are not Team 2e. This is, I believe, called generic actions and is available on the Fantasy Grounds forums. And I personally don't like about all but 3 of them.
DM's Guild.
Oh, it's DM's Guild? My bad. So it is on DM's Guild. My bad. Yeah, I purchased that. I actually bought somebody else's stuff. It is pretty cool though, and some of them, once you use them, you'll like and not like others. Like grapple, break, grapple, and shove are really good. The rest of them you don't need, because I have dodge.
What is use?
Use is just I don't even know. You double click to put out.
It's one of the actions available.
Yeah, like I use object, so.
Oh yeah. So use object action,
right,
or open a door, or whatever. Yeah.
As a thief, you can use action as a bonus action at certain levels.
All right. So why are there no spells listed here? This is not.
You're under race.
Yeah, none of it's listed. What the hell?
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I can with the use of an extension, which is called, I don't know what it's called. Drag. It's one of Diablo Bob's extensions.
So.
Spell drag.
Add 100 at a time.
Yeah, you can add as many spells as you want. So typically, let's say I was a cleric, and so clerics know all their spells. I could go here to level 1 cleric. Right? There's all the level 1 spells. Now normally you would have to drag. No, just drag list. And wait for it. Thank you. The whole friggin' list is there. So there you go.
I wanted to duplicate.
Oh, why did it duplicate? Why did it duplicate? That is a...
Maybe it accidentally got double.
Oh no,
because you're running another extension.
Yeah, I know exactly why it's duplicated, because I'm running every extension and I have Mad Nomad's automatic actions tab on. So it did its job, and it put 2 copies of everything, which I shouldn't be running both those extensions at the same time. That's my bad. But anyway, you get the idea.
I want to ask you a question now that we're here. The DC challenge rating, why is that different?
For what?
For any spell on there that requires a save, why would that not calculate? I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
When you have to hit when you have to open the magnifying glass?
Yeah, I always wondered about that, and it's been like that since day one.
So here?
I always wondered.
Like that one.
Yeah.
So let's see.
If you
what is her wisdom? So her wisdom is 10. So let's make her wisdom 16.
Yeah. But it only happens when you first do it. It doesn't happen after.
Right. It actually changed that one. It fixed it. But yeah, you're sometimes, so that's fixed. Sometimes
never understood that.
Sometimes it does that. I've never known the reason why it does or doesn't work. I just know how to fix it if it does.
Yeah, same here.
And if you guys see that, like if you open a spell that has a saving throw, and it looks wrong, I'll show you how to fix that. Wow, there's no other.
I usually go to the header, the main like first level spells, and I make sure it says wisdom there, and that usually fixes all of them.
Okay.
Because you changed the stat, it auto recalculated all of them, so they should all be correct.
But that does it. That's quicker to do it that way than to do each individual spell.
Right.
Yeah. Just bump your whiz up 1 and then down 1.
Oh, so there you go. There's a new do. If you see the things are wrong,
there you go.
Come over here and change it from 17 back to 16, and then there you go. That's how you do it.
Yep. Enhanced spell window. That's what that.
Okay,
the
that's right.
thing.
Enhanced spell window. Everybody, go get it. It's like 50 cents. I don't know. It's not that much. All right. What else we got?
We got any gameplay stuff, like stuff that people repeatedly do wrong over and over and over?
Yes. If you're a person like me who likes to hotkey their, oh Jesus, give me somebody with a weapon. Come on. This guy's weapon is a candle. If you're somebody who likes to hotkey your main weapon, bring down the attack and the damage. On the character sheet, you're used to, hey, attack, double click. On the hotkey, double click. You did it twice.
You can also use the F keys too.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, F4.
Oh, don't, because you also have multiple bars, Alt, Shift, and I think Control as well.
There's 96 combinations. Yeah.
Skip the 4 slot in the Alt bar.
Alt 4.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
It is funny.
I'm not sure if that's fixed yet, but
Dom, they should put a big red, like if you go push Alt, and this right here should just be red, and you shouldn't be able to put anything in it.
I just wouldn't use the F4.
So does you don't want to hotkey the longbow, right?
Yes, you can. You can hotkey.
Did they change that? Because it used to be broken in Classic, because you would try to use it and it wouldn't take away your ammo that you used. So put an ammunition.
Oh no! If you hotkey something that's a ranged weapon, it will not count off the ammo.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
that's why we don't.
You have to be mindful.
Yeah, because it's creating a new link down there, and if you level and your longbow goes from a +2 to a +3, it won't change the hotbar. You have to relink it.
No,
it does not
hotkeys are not. And so what I do when I level, even if I don't need it, as a best practice, when I level my character, I wipe out everything on my hotbar and rekey it. This way, I might not need to do it, but what this affords me the opportunity to do is not think about it, not go check, not do the math, just fucking relink that shit.
Just redrag it.
Yeah. Redrag it. And by the way, if
Roach was typing the same thing when we were talking about it.
If you're wondering why when I'm clicking on stuff you don't see dice, it's because I have the extension in instant. Don't roll the dice. Just give me the numbers. It's called. That's the name of the extension. It's called. Just give it to me. I don't know the names of anything.
Oh yeah, the dice was. I turned that off because I like to see the dice bouncing around.
Right, but when I'm doing a show, I don't want to wait that 1.5 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to see it. And I like the big red numbers. I like a lot of this stuff. So yeah. So what else, everybody? Best practices. Do's and don'ts.
Well, don't join a game and then not show up.
Well, yeah, that's an etiquette. Yeah, exactly. Don't sign up for a game and then not show up.
So many people that want to play, and then when you do that, it's really frustrating.
Yeah. Oh wait, here's another one. I try to mention this as often as I can. Don't turn around in my fucking driveway. That's a nice don't right there. Don't do it. Some guy just did it about 20 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
Related to leveling up, if you're going to use like say you're at that level to choose an archetype or specialization, whatever you want to call it, make sure you have that book open, or the specialization won't pop up as a selection type.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Oh
so
wait.
Usually yeah, that's true. It will ask you for the book.
Yes.
Or it will blank it out. Depending on what it is. If it's a DM's Guild item, it's not going to prompt you.
Let's go here. Where the fuck is Fury Fate? Let's go here and let's have Super Teddy share his screen and show us something.
Yikes. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Make sure I only have one thing going. 1 second. I have to close my development environment.
He can't be showing all kinds of secret stuff, everybody.
No, unfortunately I can't. I think that should show, right?
I was on a call with just somebody the other day needed a question, so I was talking to him and I go, share your screen so that I can see what you're talking about. And he goes, well, I can't do that. And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, well, my screensaver is a compromising picture of my wife. And I go, well, just open Fantasy Grounds first, then share your screen. That was pretty funny.
All right, just let me know if there's any issues. Okay, it's loading up now.
Watch stream. Let's biggin this. Make it biggin. All right, we can see your screen. Fantasy Grounds desktop.
All right, all good. So one of the things that's kind of been on my pet peeve list for ever since I started using Fantasy Grounds, because I always wanted to, create content, pre-pack, kind of, I did a lot of conversion work, kind of like trying to take. So I had a lot of 2E books lying around, in the garage. So I wanted to kind of convert them over to 5E. The one big problem is that if you ever wanted to do reference manuals, the nice PDF-esque stuff, you had to do it by hand through XML and things like that, right? So what I've been working on is a builder for it. Now, the big popular one right now is Celestian's Author.
Yes.
And that great product. I think he did a great job. And the only problem I had with it was story entries. I'm not a fan of story entries. It just kind of feels like, in a way, kind of double work. So I created a builder. Now, I've been tinkering around with this for, I say, about 3 months. Playing around with it, kind of seeing what kind of other features it can hold. So I kind of used, the way I approach this is kind of like a OneNote, Evernote style, where you create your chapter. So we got nice chapter 1. You can create your sub chapters. So you got Rob's group, for instance. Then I can start creating pages, right? So we'll call this page 1, right? Now you get to this nice right hand side that you all if you ever opened up a reference manual, you can definitely know what's supposed to show up here on the right hand side. But what I did was I broke down everything that you could possibly build within a reference manual down to these 6 buttons. The first one's a header. The next one's a text block. Then I did dual text blocks. Then an image block, and then text on the left, image on the right, and then image on the left, text on the right. Just to let you know, this is still brainstorming, rough build, so it could change from this, but this is what I got so far. So we can create a header. Rob is cool. And then I can then, of course, drop in a picture here. Let's see, any images that I can throw in here? Yeah, let's do that one. Boop. And then, of course, I can then it auto populates the caption. You could, of course, change what that is. Rob Gardner. Okay, if I spelled that right, maybe not. But the cool part is that when you're going through and basically moving that that stuff in, you can just kind of keep going as you read through the book. So you can update this, do what you want. And you can, of course, delete and set things up. Then also, what I've been using this for is also session notes. So I can go, this could be the Gorlon campaign, right? And then this could be group. Then I can have Jesse. And then this would be all Jesse's notes, like starting attributes. And then I can go um, character creation. And then items purchased. Things like that. And of course, I can then, do this as well, where I can then like maybe add a picture here. And then, of course, then list all the items. That's it. Sword, backpack, things like that. So as you can see, oh, and I almost forgot this part. I can also set the frame as well. Right here. I can then set a frame here. It's a little buggy, but I can do this. Also, sometimes when you're developing, you don't want this clickable. Maybe you just want it like a wallpaper. Just click this. Now it's not clickable. It's not very flashy, but I think people are going to get a lot of use out of it in the long run of things. Especially if you're the type of person that likes to, develop your content. But like I said, this right here, you can then set up like session 1, and then go, the road to Everlore. And then you can then build out your session notes as you're playing, and then lock it, and it functions just like a normal reference thing. Click this, boom, you got that. And you can share this out, so you can actually create handouts from here as well. You can link it to the map, and it'll open up to this as well. So, like I said, it gives you a lot more freedom than what was previously there. Another thing that I knew a lot of people have a lot of problems with as well is setting up keywords. So you can actually automate that, creates the keywords. So let's do this. Go here. We'll code in attributes. Oops, maybe it was attribute. There you go. And then it'll sort right for it. What it does is it automatically looks for every string and pulls it in. But you're sitting there saying, well, what happens if anything inside the page doesn't actually, like say this is referencing Jesse, but there's nothing mentioning Jesse in here. I can actually go in here and then, of course, type in Jesse, and then it'll search for Jesse itself as well. So I don't have any examples of a completed one, but I did not use this for Rhyme of the Frost Maiden when I worked on that. But I have done a few testing. If you are a person converting for SmiteWorks, doing any kind of conversion work with any modules, this is considered an internal tool at the moment, more or less for testing purposes. You can, of course, you have access to Author or any of our internal tools when you're doing any that kind of work process, and you can, of course, ask for this, but understand it is still beta. But here's the fun part as well. You're saying, okay, well, I can create my reference manual. What now? Well, I can export it.
Yep. Sweet.
Make sure I have it all set up. If you, and here's another thing as well. It does not work. Well, it works with any image type, but it will not export those images. So you have to use local campaign image assets to create your reference manual.
Right.
So if you like, if I exported this now, these images wouldn't go with it, and they'll be empty. So yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 in those regards. So you got to be sure that this is basically your information. No, you well, you don't need the whole dot notation. No. Mm-mm. When you export it, it'll export exactly what you see here.
So that's like a WYSIWYG builder, basically, instead of having to do it and then go back down, reload it just to preview what you did.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
There are some, there are some hiccups along the way. I'm still ironing out everything. I'm working hard to try to make this very powerful to the point where, you guys have a blast playing in here. And it's currently a separate window. I mean, we're kind of toying a few different ideas. I can't talk about them all, but this is currently more or less where we're coming, where we're headed with the first release of it.
Nice. We'd really like to tie that in with the what do you call it? The template, the story template thing would be cool.
Yes, you could do that too. I mean, think about this. I'm not sure if you guys, not everybody might not know this, but formatted text fields, right? Those are what allow you to basically, add the bullet marks, the headers, and of course, the links and also tables as well. So I can go beast, acorn, and of course keep building out the table how I want to. So you can of course build anything that you would normally build in a story template within a text block, and of course you can then link it. Here's a do that I love to do for my own personal games. And this is why I've been using it kind of as a GM screen as sorts. So like for instance, if they're attacking some, I don't know, let's see, what is this? Yeah, so we have this encounter, right? From Rime of the Frost Maiden. And I want to say I want to kind of automate die rolls, right? What you can do is do this and then make it a chat output. And then when you do it, it rolls.
Get the fuck out of here.
Nice.
I've been wanting that forever. Damn.
So, and you're sitting there going, oh, well, mind you, this is not going to output anything but a simple die roll, right? I mean, and mind you, you can do this now. You can actually do this in the story entry. So I don't even know what's in that story. I don't want to open it. So if I say, I don't know, volcano erupts on 10, you do die 1d10, and then you can then of course go here and make it a chat frame and then roll. So
oh my god, the volcano! Oh,
yep. So you can actually go through those story entries. Try to see if I can find one. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Wilderness survival. Yeah. So if I have avalanches, no. Yeah. So here's a good example. So you can actually go through this, and say he has to do, I don't know,
strength check and a.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good one. Basically, one of those encounter ones is what I'm looking for. Give me a second. It just take me 2 seconds.
Well, there's a random encounter on a D20 on a 16 through a 20. Yeah. Can you make that roll happen?
Well, that's the thing. It's only simple die rolls. It doesn't link to anything. That's the next stage because me figuring out this kind of functionality. My mind is always turning, especially you guys always cranking out these cool extensions. We see it in action and then say to ourselves, hey, that looks interesting. Let's discuss it. See if it's something that we want to kind of incorporate, things along those lines. So we're constantly always scouring the forums, listening to feedback. I love the ones where people respond. I hope the developers are listening or reading this, and it's like, yes, it's part of my job. I read it. I read everything. Especially since I'm also watching over a lot of the rule sets currently. I'm constantly in the bug report threads. I try a lot of different things in Starfinder because I've been doing a lot of active work in that currently, which I actually I want to show. Maybe I could show you that one. But yeah, but I figured this would be a kind of hidden do for you guys. So you can actually go through the stories. Like if you're running a game and you are creating your own, like, what if table, don't get me wrong, Story Template Pro has been integrated. It definitely has a lot more power added to it. But this is something quick, simple, and easy that you can just simply set up. If you want to just simply go, oh, well, let me just add a one D6 roll here. And, if this happens, then of course you can always, not use random if you're the type of person that don't like setting up these random, tables where it's 1d6 plus 1. But again, you then have to then roll on a table if it's multiples, right? Where you're trying to roll. Well, I got a lot of stuff. Sorry. So you got like, this kind of scenario, right? Well, I mean, this is a good solution, but this is kind of like I call it the poor man's solution in a way. I used it for ages, which is kind of funny that it's just, never been found really. But it's a neat little trick.
You can have an inline table underneath it and roll for that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're that type of person to fill it out that way, and you want to roll it, like you want to feel like you're actually just rolling it, and you can of course then like I said, this is just encounters can definitely do it more powerful. Tables can do it more powerfully. This is just for that quick and dirty way of saying, oh, like there are certain ports in story prepackaged content where it's like, hey, roll a d20, and if you get this happens. Well, instead of having a table output, I can just simply just roll it, right? And it'll output. It's a one button click. You move on with your life. That kind of thing.
You make your own
is
connection.
/die the only / command that works in the
I
chat
haven't.
bubbles?
This is just for me. I haven't actually tested it, so let's do this. Hey, while we're here, let's do this.
Do some stat generation.
Let's see. Okay, actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's keep 3. 1d will be do 3. Was it 3d6? No, 4d6. Keep 3.
Look at that shit.
There you go.
There you go.
Other / commands, not /die.
Right.
What do you mean?
Like,
you mean
try just /clear. Nice.
Yep.
Oh.
You got to realize anything you put in here gets sent to chat.
How about whisper? So whisper.
I don't have any of the whisper though.
Yeah, that's true.
But it'll still put it in the chat, won't it? Yeah.
There?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's try emote. I am a cool dude.
Yep. Oh, nice.
So you could actually do languages already pre-done?
I don't know.
I think you have to switch language. Yeah.
Let's see.
That would be cool to have like the orc language already done, and you just push it to the chat.
Right.
Well,
I do.
The chat bubble.
There's
You can name your whatever. If you have a named thing and your chat is set to the right language.
How about this?
Yeah, it won't set the actor.
Yeah, you could.
Hold on.
Yeah, this will work. I know it's gonna work. See?
Can't find it.
Can't find
I can't. Yeah. Why can't
I
find it?
Well, no. I think I don't think brackets. Take away the brackets.
Oh yeah, I'm just so used to story templates at the moment.
Boom.
That's my fault.
There you go.
Nice.
So, like I said, you can have now if you don't want the link here to this encounter, You could also then, set up a table, let it roll, and it'll output the counter for you. It gives more power, including story templates now too. You can also set up a story template link, click it, creates maybe it create the whole village for you. I know Jim Socks, I think that's his username in the forums. Created a whole bunch of videos related to it. But yeah, I mean, slash commands are definitely powerful, and especially with this new with this functionality of sending a chat. It's only a one button click, directly to the chat frame.
Yeah, like Joe, in your game, you could have it all be all those die rolls for magic items. You could just have them be one click.
Let me see something. Nope.
Yeah, roll on magic item table B.
Yeah, and and the thing is we're also toying with quicker ways of setting languages and who the speaker is and things along those lines. With I showed you this a long time ago. It was standard headers is what I called it. Basically, we're moving the buttons out of the frames and along the top. As you can see, the lock's kind of not on the frame. Because all this stuff's going to start sitting along the top. Kind of like think of it like a title bar. You know what I mean? Where you have the link, you have all the nice stuff kind of just chillaxing along the top. Like it would open up this whole header to just be the name with the token, the lock, the ID, the speaker, all goes up here, has standard icons. There's also going to be a minimize button that I created as well. So you don't have to go up. Okay. It's like 2 button clicks to minimize it. Yeah. Now it'll just be one.
Nice.
Things along those lines. But yeah, so that's good functionality. Something else I've been kind of toying around with. It's kind of just tinkering. Let me make sure.
What do you have? A couple rule sets there?
I got a lot. I gotta watch. These are all the ones I gotta watch. Plus, I also have some personal ones in there too. Let me make sure. Yeah.
P.S.
I want to make sure.
The whole time you were showing that reference manual building, I was just sitting there going, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!" Like it's amazing.
Well,
it's going to change.
It's going to help developers. I mean, more content out means more stuff available to everybody, right? So, I definitely kind of I do follow my orders, but I do also come up with some personal stuff that would make my job easier, which then also makes your guys' job easier, right? So, that's the beauty of our community. I mean, in all nutshell, we're always trying to outdo each other, so it's great competition, and then on top of it, we're always helping each other too.
Yeah, that's good.
And
healthy.
Yeah, healthy competition. Like I don't see you, Rob, as a competitor in the way that I must squash him like a bug. It's more like he did another extension. Good, whatever, you know. But I also started tinkering around with this idea of I I don't. This is the best way I can describe it is like hyperlinks. Um, Basically, one of the things that bugs me is as a player, I hate going to the sidebar. I don't like searching and going through and kind of like as a player, I should just be able to just go through my character sheet, get it up, and do its thing. So if you click on race, it opens up race. I'm an Android. Base. Theme. Okay, let's do that. And class. Let's do mechanic.
And you're clicking where to make that happen?
On the actual text.
Just on the bar? Oh my god.
So this text is actually clickable. So if I click it again, it opens it up. I can do that for what else can I do it for? I think I have to remember everything I did it for. But the thing is,
see your cursor, so we can see where you were clicking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's because I only have Fantasy Grounds being shared right now. If I did the entire screen, you could actually see the cursor. But guess what? I have the character literally made in 5 seconds. I know what I'm wanting. Nice. Yeah. So for I would say the more experienced guys, or experienced people playing any game, you want to just get to what you want to build and get it done, right? For this, I would say this would be something that would be more of a quality of life improvement. Then you can just add your your attributes the way you want them, and you're done, right? I'm also trying to also include more point and click ability, like for instance the class abilities, right? So I know this is Starfinder, but this is, like I said, I like to try new stuff to see if people like it and things along those lines. So what I can do is it opens up the alt is basically in Starfinder, you can choose alternative features for your class that will replace other ones, right? So I can actually, now mind you, I'm not going to go through a whole process here, but basically say I choose like custom rig gives me nothing. Maybe it's artificial intelligence. Here we go. Yeah. So I get a choice between drone or the exocortex, basically a big bodysuit. So I choose drone. And guess what? Drone now sits under artificial intelligence. So I can keep track of my class abilities of what goes underneath what. So if I make a choice for it, it kind of like the inventory. It kind of gives it a little oomph, and now I'm right under where it needs to go. So you're organizing all this.
So like on the 5e abilities tab, it would go under it if you took a fighting style or whatever.
Exactly.
It would drop under it. Like nice.
Right.
Exactly.
Fighter abilities are grouped. Your cleric abilities are grouped.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
like, and then another cool thing as well, and this is kind of harkens back to the previous developer that had Starfinder, is like, for instance, if you do Bardic Inspiration, the die changes, right? So when you get Bardic Inspiration D6, it replaces the D4. If you get D8, it replaces the D6.
Nice.
That makes
so on and so
sense.
forth.
What about
same thing here?
What about being able to signify like extra attack, and then you go to 11th level and it says extra attack x2, 18th level extra
It'll
attack
just
x3.
change the title.
Nice.
It'll change the title. Yeah.
Well,
that's beautiful.
And then, let's see.
Or adding those proficiencies like from elves and dwarves. I mean, that's simple.
Yep. The other thing as well is, now this is Starfinder exclusive. It's a sci-fi system, so it's more item dependent, and also you have to kind of build your own ship in this system. Even I get kind of mixed up by the sidebar not having all my buttons. So I also added it to this functionality as well. Because one of the things is that you constantly are always upgrading and making changes to the ship, right? And the way you have to consider this, the ship, is basically a mobile base, stronghold, right? So when you build it, you click, and then of course you can drag, drop, do your thing, and go from there. And then of course you get all this information about the ship as well. Well, the one thing that I built for it is that, like I said, it's a stronghold, right? It's a base, so it's in the party sheet. This is, in a nutshell, what it kind of constitutes the ship and things like that. You can then drop your characters into the crew. One thing that has been lacking is that we have no way of adding NPCs to the ship. I just added that functionality. So now, old George here is now a player. It's actually a PC character. So if I want to drop George, let's please work. Oops, wrong one. I know I had to do it. There we go.
Please work. That's great.
Yeah. Nah, it didn't work. I have to work through this again. Basically, it should actually go like that, right? So George is now considered an ally. It's a party member, as it were. So eventually, I want to work through this a little bit further, and then kind of add that functionality to 5e and the other rule sets as well, to where you can then start creating allies, adding them to your group, things along those lines. That's brainstorming phase still. We're not there yet. But yeah,
I think
this is kind of functionality. Oh, by the way, this is the other cool part. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just remembered. The ship inventory gets tracked in the party inventory on the inventory tab.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That's what 5e is lacking, is a party inventory tracking. Like that. That's awesome.
So believe it or not, players can actually interact with this inventory by simply dropping stuff to the party sheet. The GM then assigns it to the Sunrise Maiden. That's the ship. And then you can also track what items are in your hold, as it were. And then, of course, you can also then distribute it as well. So it makes things a lot easier. Plus, one of the things that used to drive me nuts is there was no way of taking parcels and then distributing it to the ship. I like a lot of times in sci-fi systems, they're like, "Oh, well, just throw it in the hold. We'll figure out what we're going to do with it later." Well, guess what? Now you have an easier way to handle that kind of stuff, and it goes right here as well. Plus, you can then, of course, give it to characters, make it very quick, things like that. And like I said, this is me kind of fixing a solution for this rule set, but it does open up avenues for other rule sets to receive this kind of love as well.
Nice.
Is there a weight management?
Weight management in Starfinder? No.
On the party sheet though, so your hold can hold in indefinite amount of stuff.
Yes and no. It's a gray area. Think about this. Okay, so this is why I want to use Starfinder as the example, but Starfinder uses a bulk system, right? And you can only have so much bulk before you become. They basically oversimplified inventory space, right? So instead of tracking per pound or grams or kilograms, things like that, it just says, okay, well, a backpack is 1 bulk. Clothing is 0.1 bulk. You know what I mean? So you track it kind of in that kind of freewheeling kind of way.
Basically.
Yeah, so a ship, one cargo hold, I believe, holds 25,000 tons. And it's very hard to convert bulk to tons. There's, at least I personally have not found a conversion in any of the canon rules, but I'm still hoping and waiting for it. If it is there, I'll add that functionality in. But in this particular rule set, it doesn't there. But again, this would be very easy to add, like, oh, maybe a warning sign, hey, you're overweight on your ship, or things along those lines. So you can have it here, and of course the characters can go to here, the party sheet, and look at it and tinker around with it, and things like that. But yeah, so currently with Starfinder, the only really weight gets tracked is on the characters themselves. What's another cool thing is the ship can actually so with PC ships, you also have items as well. So say this ship, I wanted to have a backup C thrusters on the ship. I can then keep track of that on the cargo tab and say, oh, I have a backup starship thrusters in my cargo hold, right? Maybe some spare parts. Well, I can't actually put these on the character sheet. Now imagine somebody walking around with a starship engine on their back. That ain't gonna happen. So I have it to where you can actually, if you click on it, you get 2 outputs. So you'll have a starship item and then a regular item right here. So you can kind of see what's what. Again, like I said, this is still kind of being refined more towards more cleaner things, I guess. But it works. It does what it's supposed to do, right?
Right.
We might be getting slightly away from do's and don'ts here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did
well, since we're going there, so
to be fair, I did give a major do.
Yeah, you did.
So.
Yeah, do this. So I'm gonna make a request after, but if you have any influence, I definitely want to change the sidebar thing.
I can't talk about it.
I know.
I can't talk about it. Stop.
That's why I said after the show, we'll see.
Yeah, I can't talk about it. So
no, you don't have to say anything.
Like
I'm just going to
give
you
in private. That's not a thing.
Yeah, I'll tell him in private.
Well, I saw the question from Diablo Blob. I'm going to answer.
Yeah, he had a couple questions.
Yeah, if you don't,
I didn't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
He asked, can you embed tables inside reference manuals? And I think you can embed the links. Yeah, right. I think I knew that one. He also wanted to know.
But I was going to say you could create normal story tables as well. So I mean, like I said, treat it like a story entry when it comes to a text block, and then you'll be fine.
He also wanted to know, do you prefer automation or intuitiveness if you had to choose one over the other?
You can't choose one or the other. I believe both have their place. Automation is the reason why, at least for me, why I played Fantasy Grounds is it takes care of the mundane tasks. The stuff that can really drag a session down, make you kind of like, wish for, the night to end. And honestly, that could be anything. Like Starfinder's a very crunchy system. I know most of your crowd is a 5e crowd, but look at what 5e also has to offer as well. It has a lot of automation to keep your game moving forward.
Right.
Once the game gets in the way of the story, that's a problem. That's where I like to kind of step in and look for a way to kind of make that an easier process for anyone involved. Now, intuitiveness is more along the lines of, at least for me, the way I interpret it is like, well, then we got to treat it like we're playing at the table. And I think that's where the story really shines. And any VTT basically flounders, because you have to find that nice healthy balance between the two. I like to still when I play on Fantasy Grounds, I still like to have the feeling I'm sitting at a table rolling some dice, drinking some cola, and eating some popcorn. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you lose that feeling when, like, especially when you're playing 5e and then all you have to do is click a button and it does everything for you. You don't really playing 5e at that point. Fantasy Grounds is playing 5e. You're just there for the ride. So you kind of find that nice equal balance. And like, and mind you, I definitely am not deep down turning any extension that creates automation. We're just trying to cater to a larger crowd. We got to try to make everybody kind of happy, playing the systems that we are working on. And, if we add, like, I'd say everything that, you, Rob, has created, it's going to definitely cost some guff somewhere down the line, right? With somebody, right? So
hey, it already is. Don't worry about it. Not everybody's like me, where my dream is to one day say into my microphone, play D&D, and then just watch. And it all just does it automatically.
My dream is to put on a nice headset and I'm literally like walking through Neverwinter and Baldur's Gate and kind of like weird LARPing, but not, getting out of my chair. That'd be great. But again, like, I know it's a kind of a deep question, and I love how Diablo Bob kind of put me on the pitchfork there on that one. But yeah, that's kind of my philosophy, and that's also SmiteWorks as well. Is we try to shoot for a good percentage of automation, but we also don't want to take it away. The feeling of playing the actual system you're playing. Like I mean, yeah, in Shadowrun, it's great if you had Fantasy Grounds just handled all the dice pools. Because I know right now, I can tell you, when I was playing Shadowrun back in the day, picking up a dice pool of 26 D6s was no fun. But again, for some people, that was the joy. So again, you could literally play Dungeons and Dragons right now in core RPG. You don't need 5e rule set to do it, and you could pick up dice and just roll it and treat the character sheet like a form fillable PDF. But it's all about comfort. And like you said earlier in the stream, or everybody said it early in the beginning of the stream, is like, try Fantasy Grounds without any extensions and then find the extension that's going to enhance your game. Remember, It's your table. It's not my table. I don't run any extensions. Well, because I can basically go in and make changes to wherever I want. But the thing is understand, like, try to see what Fantasy Ground has to offer first and then add to it, right? Find what makes your game, your game, as it were. And that's also why you see all these people developing for Fantasy Grounds. Why? Because they want to make their table their table.
Yeah.
And they want that power, so.
All right, very good.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to go all.
No, that's okay. I mean, anything that we can show people as a learning thing is, like I said, I don't give a crap if the show goes 4 hours. It doesn't bother me. But if for those of you that are in chat, if you still have any questions, now's the time, because I think we are winding down here.
Oh, I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Actually, just came to mind.
Let's do it.
It's like I said, it's not spectacular, but I'm sure for developers it might actually be a good thing. Let me see. Where is it? What was the name of it? Oh yeah, I remember it now.
Yay.
Oh, wait a minute. This might be something.
So you remember the table importer, right?
Yep.
Yes, I love that thing.
Both you do? Them.
Yeah, well, because it saves you so much. I mean, I can import a 100 thing and it just takes 2 seconds.
Well, I created an NPC importer as well.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
I don't have one. Hold on.
Now what? Now, like, where? Yeah, what's the source of the NPC? That's the thing.
What do you mean?
Well, so where are you copying the NPC stat block from?
I've only now. Okay, thanks for putting me on blast here. Basically, how's the best way to put it? I tried it with the SRD website first. So this is the output for the thug. And mind you, I haven't looked at this in ages, so I still might have to kind of tinker with it a little bit. There we go. And it, again, like when you're copying from the website, it's going to be a little bit like this. So there. Let's see what it does.
So we still need Notepad++, kind of?
No.
Good.
Look, it copied the thug directly in. It's a little bit goofy. So you can, of course, it does look for certain things, but again, you can go like this.
So were you familiar with NPC? Leiron, what was the original thing that Mask created?
The NPC engineer.
NPC engineer. Dom, were you familiar with that?
I'm sure at some point.
And then now it's become Engineer Suite or something else. It's called a different name, and it's been taken over. So they had it where you could paste a stat block from almost any source.
Right.
And it would scrutinize the text and be like, well, it says AC:5 when it should just be AC without the :5. But it would go through all that crap and fix it so that you barely had to do any.
Now, I can only go off of official sources, right?
Yeah, but isn't D&D Beyond something that you should be able to use? Because you can't.
Not wrong.
Yeah, because you can only get a stat block if you've paid for it.
Right, and I agree to that. But that's kind of what was my goal was. Okay, I copy. Say I'm going through a book, developing. Remember, my goal is to help developers in this line of tools. You go through, say, the PHP, copy a stat block, it will boom output. Now, mind you, there are certain caveats. Make sure there's no spacing, between the lines, things like that. But as you can see, I copied it from the SRD 5e website, and I made very little in terms of changes, and now I have a stat block.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, like, if you're prompting a game, and again, D&D Beyond, as long as I'm on D&D Beyond for the thug right now, if I copy out that information, this is for the thug. So I'm not showing. I'm actually on D&D Beyond because I got two computers. Ain't that great?
Ain't that great?
Yeah. So if I want to import this bad boy, I'm just taking out the spaces.
Now, why was multi-attack not, like, what happened there?
You
had to put the M in there.
No, I deleted it by accident.
I'm sorry. Okay,
I had a line.
What you're doing here.
Yeah. So
because ideally you would be able to copy any source, paste it, not make any adjustments, and then just hit boom and it's done. I mean, that seems like it would be impossible, but that's what you're shooting for, right? That's what you want.
Have you ever worked with the parser for Lua? It's a pain. So, it's going to take some time for me to get this to the point where you're like, NPC engineer, I guess. But this is a step in the right direction in most cases, right? I mean,
better than nothing.
I mean, it's something to get you going for the impromptu stuff, and boom, now you're good to go.
Yep, that saves a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is like it's a lot easier than you coming into here, opening up an empty character sheet, and then copy paste.
Oh,
paste.
Yeah.
That's what the table importer is for too. Like I'm working on this, and I'm constantly doing work on it, and I'm trying to do it to make it to where it's universal as well for each rule set. It's just a matter of basically a lot of work and effort. That's why it's really hasn't been implemented yet. It still has kinks, as you can see. But the thing is like look how much the little bit that I did put into it cuts down on the workload.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
you're
totally.
saving minutes upon minutes. And again, it's just a matter of, time and energy to get, like, I mean, heck, if I wanted to create a guy named Glug, who is a thug, right? Yeah, that's rhymes. I'm a poet at heart. I can without actually going here, I can just copy the stat block, change the name, boom. Now I have Glug, you know. And then I'm off onto the Wild Beyonder to do whatever my quest was going to do. So again, it handles I've tried everything. I've tried a Lich, which in terms of a stat block, that's outrageous.
It's insane. Yeah, exactly.
Dragons, I've tried. I've gone through most of the monster manual and tried to copy and paste to see if there's any real hiccups. It handles layer actions. What's the other stuff that it does? Layer actions, innate spells. It'll actually copy in the spell for you, things like that.
Cool.
Let me see if I can do it with Lich. I don't know. It might bug out, and then I look like a weirdo. Who knows? Let me see, Lich 5e. But yeah, so if I was going to focus on something, I most likely would focus on I would say canon websites where you can copy and paste from, or from the rule book, how their stat blocks are set up. But again, copy and pasting, you can get so many different results, as it were. You know what I mean? When you're trying to basically do importing, because HTML to normal text doesn't always work well. See, I just messed up by clicking on the wrong thing. Doot, doot, doot. And then of course you have to make sure this is, all one line. But again, I'm copying directly from D&D Beyond, so this should work out the way I want. Oops.
I'm sure you'll develop a filter so you won't even have to do that.
Oh, trust me, I'm probably the best thing about me is that I find things mundane and monotonous. So
Yep.
I'll go in and be like, okay, I don't really want to do that every single time, especially when I'm having to do the coding and the testing for it. So you always find shortcuts, and then no shortcuts, then you're like, hey, that's an interesting little concept. Let's expand upon it.
Yeah, anyone that does converting has gone through this. I've even done it too. So this is something that is very annoying, and it could be time consuming and very frustrating, especially if you're newer to it. You don't know what to look for.
And like I said,
sorry to interrupt, just because people are watching. When you made all those stats come into one line, that's Control J, right? Is that what you're doing?
Oh yeah. Whenever you want, like, say I have a line here, like lines here, I hit Control J, boom.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure.
That's a do, by the way.
That is a do.
Yeah. Make sure Control J will basically more or less line merge, so it'll bring up and it'll clear out any empty spaces below it. Or if you want to put it all in one line, of course there. See, so and then Control Z will undo with story entries as well. So I think this is going to work. It's been a while since I looked it over. See, nah, it didn't work out the way I hoped, but
that's probably the matter of one space somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't looked at this in ages, and I probably shouldn't have worked through it to kind of show it off. But it shows where, like, this is a little transparency that I'm working towards something that will eventually see the light of day, and it's not really super secret, like it's I want to try and get this to look like this. Oh, I know why, because I had to put them all in one line. That's my problem. Because so again, I haven't really touched this in a while, so again, that's something. And then of course I also worked on the which is still available in the forums, by the way, is the Theater of the Mind extension. That's currently out.
Yeah, somebody was asking in the chat. They were. I wasn't following what they were asking, but Bane was trying to answer. So, what does the Theater of the Mind extension do? Delete your maps folder?
No.
But I guess they want to know what's the difference between the combat tracker and the Theater of the Mind.
Oh well, I could definitely show you that. Let me turn that off. Where is it? Is it feature? I think I put it as feature. Yeah. New naming conventions is kind of throwing me off sometimes.
I always
is this
refer to
something
it as
this is not in Fantasy Grounds already, or it will be, or
it's being tested still.
Okay.
We released. I got permission to release it early because in its current state, it does what it does. But we have no clue how we want to implement it. Basically, so combat tracker, Theater of the Mind.
Now, where did you? Okay, so what did you do to make that come up?
I hit a button. I made it a top stack button.
Oh, it's up there. Okay, gotcha.
Top right hand. Yeah, top right hand corner. I'm sorry. I know you can't see my
No,
my
but I
cursor.
just because people are gonna be like, "What the fuck? How did he do that?"
Yeah. That's kind of like what we were like what I was referring to. I don't know where I want to put this. I don't know how we want to kind of incorporate it, and it's something that we're kind of just throwing back and forth, but it's still available for I mean, I kind of more or less built this for individuals that don't like maps, don't want to use maps. Plus I hate to say it, Theater of the Mind combat is very quick, cinematic, and in some cases a lot more fun. Especially if you're just dealing with run of the mill fodder, like you're like, oh, hey, there's 12 little goblin minions, I'm just gonna whack my way through them, that kind of thing. So right now, the way I built Theater of the Mind is more or less you have like a wallpaper, as it were. Uh, I have too much stuff. Yeah, Curse of Strahd, maybe. Come on. No, there's no maps there. Oh, that would help if I did that. Sorry. All right, and I promise not to show off anything that's not supposed to be shown. Come on. I need an image record. That's right.
I wrote on that.
Yeah, you need to pull it from your campaign, not from the assets.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's do not maps. What do I want to do?
Artwork.
Artwork, yeah. Where are we? Oh, I'm in the. There we go. So let's see.
Ascending to gray skull.
There we go. Yeah. So from here, you can set up the scene behind the players to kind of give them kind of like, oh, this is what you're interacting with, and then of course you then can drop your. I use the helmets at the bottom, the drag and drop.
Yeah.
And then what it does is it drops them into the outer squares, and that's what they are. They're basically glorified squares. They're grids, and of course you can then arrange them how you like. Now, the one thing you notice is if I expand the window, I get more of these nice squares. If I condense it, makes them go away. So it you can basically add more, and then I also added the functionality of adding more columns as well. So if you have combat that requires like long, medium, and short, you can kind of go through that process. But what this is supposed to replace is your map. That's what the idea is.
Gotcha.
That's what it's for. So if you're say Rob, you're streaming, you can just basically put your OBS around this window.
Yeah.
And you're done. You know what I mean? And then you can, of course, quickly go through it. Your attack rolls work on this. You can drag and drop to it. Of course, I also added some new functionality where the effects will show up. So I think I have an effect. Yeah. A Bill 5 was on here. So since it doesn't have an icon, it doesn't really do well. But if I add, say, confused to it, see, now it's a question mark.
Right.
If I add dazed, I think. Yep. There's a nice little different icon there. Let's see. Dead, maybe? No.
What the hell is a bill? A bill? What is that?
Dying.
I was trying something.
Oh, okay.
This is my 5e test campaign, so
I'm like, what code don't I know? I must know new code. Put on prone.
Yep, there we go.
Down arrow. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish that they were. I wish that was a thing for everything. Because like when somebody does sleep or whatever, I'm forever pestering the DM. Can you turn the ones that are unconscious on their sides? It just indicates to me somehow. I wish
whatever conditions here, it should show up.
They have a token.
There you go.
I mean a symbol.
Yep.
There you go. He's asleep.
Yep. So as you can see, it just makes combat super simple, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more like, okay, testing the now I can never pronounce these guys right.
Arakakra.
Yeah, I just call them the bird people. I know somebody's going to get the pitchforks and torches for me, but I can't help that. But yeah, so now like the Lich and the other bird people are in the medium range. Test and the other bird persons they're actually engaged, right? The other cool thing here is I also added a indicator whose turn it is. Now on the player side, if these aren't like visible, they won't see them. So you as a GM can actually add them here, in any position you want, and then suddenly make them appear. So if they go invisible, I can then make it invisible. But here's a nice little widget to let you know from a GM side. Oh well, this guy's invisible to the players, right? Plus, I also added a targeting icon as well, kind of bullseye, to let you know that the test is targeting this bird person. You know what I mean? Instead of this one. Things like that. Normal map stuff that you'll run into. Now, one question I actually got asked recently, which was really, I answered it straightforward, but I didn't think about it at the time. But I think it was a joke. But they asked if there was line of sight and vision on Theater of the Mind. Unfortunately, no. That is not part of this process. I think it was. It was, and because I didn't catch it, it is at my expense. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. So that's kind of how everything goes. But again,
so for anybody who is interested in learning how to easily pronounce the name of the bird people, just pretend you're Jack Kennedy saying the alternate word for penis and the sun god, Arakakra. It's just really easy.
I need to start using for demos instead of the cockroaches. Use somebody else.
Yeah. Thug.
Like thug. Yeah, thug's easy, right? But as you can see, like I said, it's a very simple interface, and then when I change the columns, they go away.
Very useful too, because even if you're using, like, say for example, WotC modules that are pre-done and have all the maps, well, they don't have a map for every single scenario, so all the time DMs are like, oh god, I need a map for this. Well, you just pull this up and.
Well, and that's kind of, believe it or not, I also use it for social interactions as well. Like basically, like who's in the bar, right? Like, are they at the bar? Are they close by? Because not everything requires a map, unfortunately,
right.
in my opinion. Especially me, the way I grew up in D&D was we didn't play with maps. I came with a ring notebook I think it was every Saturday.
Oh yeah, totally. Me too.
And
it was all just Theater of the Mind.
It was, yeah. And
nobody had money for minis or any of this crap.
Nope.
Yeah.
And then mind you, we're a bunch of poor kids, trying to figure out how to play some tabletop RPGs. And finally we figured, well, I used to have a flea market that was like down the street, right? So we used to go around collecting cans and doing odd jobs around the neighborhood. And then I eventually would go to this flea market, and we found this one guy that ended up selling Legos. So we're like, wait a minute, could we? And we started buying Lego minifigures and dressing them up
totally
and
works.
and then we create dungeons with the Lego blocks and things like that. I know it's very proxy, but I mean, when you, I was 8 years old at the time. You couldn't afford to go buy a Games Workshop mini. I mean, that thing, if I was able to get that for Christmas, I wasn't able to eat anything but Spam and ramen for the next year. It's like, no. So
that's funny because I eat ramen periodically now anyway.
Oh, I love I love ramen too.
Because it costs 5 cents.
I take it out and kind of build it up with egg and.
Oh yeah, I boil an egg in the water with the ramen, and then I add a slice of cheese on top when it's done. Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
Yeah, I used to be able to get those Lego figurines from the flea market. It was like he said you can grab a handful for 50 cents, and you grab your hand, put it in a bag, and then he'd sell it to you for 50 cents.
Yeah.
So by the time we were all said and done, yeah, and that's the other one right there.
Yeah, that's the one
that I
Doug
think
made.
Doug came out.
Which you can use that as the background in this one you have. Just easily just put that picture in there. I mean, well, I guess maybe the squares might not line up perfectly, but
no. But here's the thing: like that's eventually where I'd like to go, where you can then label the tops.
Yeah.
So
that's what I really liked about what he did was you got your I can use my melee attacks. I can use my my non or my regular attacks. I can use my disadvantage attacks, and then I can't attack. That's what I liked about that.
And another cool thing that this kind of opened up as well is me playing around with like block placement, right? So I don't know about you, but certain type of games use squares and blocks and things like that.
Right.
So it definitely started getting the creative juices going on certain things to try. And I did try tinkering with a thing called Monopoly, see if that worked. So
yeah. Were you the person that was also doing the sports, like the football thing, and was
that
you?
Yeah.
I'm all into that. I love all that shit. I love stat. Like I used to buy Madden. I bought Madden video game for like 20 straight years, and I would never play it. I would just run the
simulation part.
Yeah, I love all that crap. I would do the draft and then just do the simulation. And
hey guys, I'm sorry for this taking a huge tangent.
That's all right. That's all right. People watching, maybe the other hosts here with us are like ready to go to bed, but people watching don't care. They love it.
I'm sorry for the other hosts. I don't mean to step forward, but yeah, I was I've been working on different sports simulations to kind of get some proof of concepts, things like that. I did I don't know. I did kind of spark it, but I do have a text-based adventure generator. Like
like Zork or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I basically got it to where it was like a window. I don't know if I want to show it because it's completely broken, I think, at this point. Just me tinkering with it. But you can give it commands: north, south, east, west, pick up, sword, drop this, attack, things like that. Nice. So you could honestly, yeah, that's actually was my goal a little bit, was actually creating a MUD within Fantasy Grounds. But actually my main goal was actually creating almost like a solo GM engine where you feed it or more or less like maybe even bragging rights, like say somebody comes up with an adventure and you're like, oh, well, while waiting for your session that night, kind of jump in and go, oh, let's see if because I got it to where you can actually use your character sheet of your character to play the game.
Oh, nice.
So you can then come up with an end scores of that dungeon. Somebody created on the forums and go, oh, well, I got 5,000 points, man. Come on, beat that, that kind of thing. So, and like I said, the applications are endless. Like think of like a hacking scene for a sci-fi game, where the GM sets up an actual computer terminal and each action or each input that you put in is an action for your character, things like that. So, it's just stuff I tinker around with, and those are my personal. Yeah, they're my personal projects. I like to tinker around with. Nothing really I can show or any finished product on it, but
yeah. But it's the thing. Every time I talk to you, there's this cool shit. I can't tell you about it.
Well, that's honestly the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot of stuff I wish I could talk to you about, but unfortunately, I've been sworn to secrecy or threat of fired. So I like my job. So yeah.
We're okay with it. I'm going to give away another prize or two here just at the end for those people who have patiently stuck with us. So in the chat, everybody, you can type in !! free thing to enter the contest. Everyone is eligible. All the co-hosts are eligible as well. And this will afford you the opportunity to get a thing for free. Hence, free thing.
Or you get to hang out with me for 15 minutes. I don't know.
They got to hang out with me for 2 hours.
Well, now we got to hang out with all these other cool guys too. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Drake's all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Joe Numbers, how are you doing?
Fucking awesome, man. I don't have any input on the shit that you just talked about for the last hour, but that it sounds all really cool, and I don't make stuff. I can see where it would benefit some stuff, but I'm not in the weeds enough to understand half the shit you're talking about.
He doesn't make it, but he does use it because we use a lot of stuff on Friday night.
So if the people that make the shit that I use that, thumbs up.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. And that's why I said it's not really flashy, because it's a lot of background stuff that, honestly, unless you're diving in like Diablo Bob or Matt Curie or anybody that kind of makes extensions for the crew, you're really never going to see it. And that's why I said it's not really flashy. It's kind of not flashy. But then you're sitting there as a developer going, oh, it only takes me one line of code instead of 50 lines of code.
Yeah, I totally get that. Anything that gets more modules out faster and their quality, that I'm all for it, man.
And
exactly.
Consistency is key.
Mm-hmm.
That they're all kind of the same format.
Well, think about this. You only need one program to make a module now, in a way, right? I mean, if you're developing and working through something, I mean, I did conversion work before I got hired in to SmiteWorks, and I was doing Pathfinder conversions, and I can tell you right now, I would have like Fantasy Grounds in this tight little corner in the bottom left, and I'd have Notepad++ and all that kind of good stuff everywhere, and it's
yeah, you should watch some of my videos where I was converting modules. I had like 17 different applications open. I was copying and pasting. Then I was running like Notepad++ scripts to strip out ligatures, and oh my god, it was insane.
Oh yeah, I mean, I use that as inspiration, by the way, because sailor talk usually inspires me.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of sailor talk in anything I'm doing. By the way, N DeBoy, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream, and I hope to the God you pray to, I pronounce that right, and I'm sorry if I didn't. I never know what people's screen names are. I can't read I don't know the trick license plates people have on this. I don't know how to do it. All right, PR Wild is the winner. PR Wild. I'm assuming that's how I say that. Thanks for being a follower. I don't believe PR Wild has won a prize before. Prwild? I don't know. But so go to my Discord server. I'll put the link here. That's not it, because that's not how you spell Discord. Let's try that again, like that. And if you're not a member of I don't recognize your screen name. So if you're not a member of my Discord, just come on over there. If you're coming in brand new, it might time you out for 10 minutes. In other words, PR Wild. There you go. I was right. So anyway, send me your email address that you use for DM's Guild and the item that you'd want from DM's Guild. And here, let me generously draw another winner. PR Wild and Nafum. You know what to do. Nafum's won many times. So I'm gonna actually write those down.
What you're saying is, if I keep coming to your show every Sunday, I could possibly own your entire catalog if I keep winning.
That's the idea. Oh, and not only that, I'm glad you brought that up. Because
it's like 480 items though.
It's not 480. It's like 425 or something.
Well, it's probably like a year and a half.
Yeah. But next week I'm actually taking.
That's only once a week.
So here's the story, everybody. Next week there's no show, because the reason there's no show next week is there's no game Friday, there's no game Saturday. So I thought to myself, hey, long weekend, I'll just not have a show on Sunday. So no show next week. But the following week, which is the 4th of July, which we will be having a show that day, I'm putting the Insanity Bundle. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's every title I've ever created, so like 400 and some titles, on sale. If you purchase the whole shot, it's 75% off for everything. It's very expensive, but everything you own is removed out, so you only pay for what you don't have. 75% off. And I'll be giving away a copy of that. As a few weeks ago, I gave away 5 copies of it, but this time I'll give away 1 on July 4th. So be here, come try to win it, and if you don't win it, then just fucking buy it. That's the whole program, everybody. So we're going to skip a week and then come back on the 4th of July. That's how we're doing it. Any final words from anybody on the show with me before we call it quits? Yep. After 130 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. What is it?
Thanks for everyone for coming by. We're going to have our 4th annual, which I can't believe, 4th annual Founders Day next month, and this month is Pathfinder 2 month.
Oh, nice. Hey, Leroon, after the show's over, send me a PM. I want to ask you a question about Founders Day, but I don't want to do it on the air because I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, go ahead. There's no. You're
do
asking
you
me about the name?
No, I wanted to know if you want to do a Sunday show in couplants, COUPLANCE couplants with.
I have no problem with that. It's pretty traditional. So.
Okay, so we'll do that.
Yeah.
So we'll work out the date. Anything else from anybody else?
You mean. It's August 1st, if you want to know the date.
Oh yeah, well here, let's just go to the schedule right now.
August 1st, 6 p.m.
Boom.
And that will close our ceremony. That'll be our
Fantasy Grounds College, which by the way might have a different name by then.
Yep.
Founders Day. Let's be the Olympics. Closing ceremony.
That's it. Yep, totally.
Okay, I'm running a one shot too with all the extensions I have, so
nice.
You can get your feel on.
You can talk about it and ask about it a little bit.
I hope Fury's okay, everybody. She never even messaged me or anything, so I'll find out what's going on with her. All right. Very good. Anything else from anybody else before we end it?
I think I talked enough.
Well, I would like to thank everybody, Drake, my co-host, and I'd like to thank Joe Numbers, Leroy, and Matakuri, and Super Teddy for coming by the show. Really do appreciate you guys' time, and hopefully everybody got some good do's and don'ts out of the show today, plus a little insight into some secret new shit coming down the way. And don't forget, skip next week, but we'll see you back here in 2. And until then, good gaming, everyone.